addiction, I'm a product of the street. All the shit that I've achieved, you can't mistake, I'm still a G. I can get this legal paper or go get it in the street. Best believe that I succeeded everything that I touch. Treat these haters like a porno, watch them all get fucked. I was born a damn soldier, it made sense to enlist. Cause I was fucking up my life, they wanna listen to shit. I ain't selling out for nothing, I'll be true to the death. Maintaining a lion heart until I'm holding my chest. I ain't trying to change the world, I just wanna do something. Leave these haters sitting silent like I hit the mute button. The beat say napalm, newest kings of the game. Call me out my damn name, get a hole in your frame. And Y to NM, East Coast to Southwest. Coming hard until the death is living proof.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Outside the Wire podcast, episode number 4. My name is Michael Farrell. I, of course, am your host. This is the podcast, no format, no filters. Today's going to be a little bit different. I want to talk about something that I'm passionate about, something that I deal with every day in real life, something that I'm constantly around, and that I believe everybody should have some education on. Today, in case you haven't guessed it, we're talking about guns. Everything from rifles to shotguns to pistols to everyday carry to safe queens to anything and everything. Most of you guys don't know, I am an assistant store manager at a local gun shop here in town. So I'm around guns 24/7. I'm also around people 24/7. I'm also one of the firearms instructors out there. So I love what I do. I love guns. I can talk about guns for days. Some people have cars. Some people have sports. Guns is my thing. So today I have a kind of a list of my current favorites. Some stuff that I wish I could get. And then, everything in between. So where I want to start is my current favorites, pistol-wise. We have the Smith & Wesson Shield 380 EZ. Now, a lot of my gun people are going to be like, a 380? Why the fuck would you put that on there? Well, this 380 is the best thing that's come out of SHOT Show in probably the last 2 years. Anybody who knows guns knows Smith & Wesson's last venture into 380s was the Bodyguard. That gun absolutely sucked. It was hard to shoot. It was inaccurate. The laser on the side was a pain in the ass to get to work. Getting it zeroed in where you needed it to be was meh. It's one of those guns that you carry in your pocket just because it's better than not having anything. But Smith & Wesson, this SHOT Show came out with the Shield EZ. I believe it was the SHOT Show. I'm pretty positive. When I first saw it, when we first got it in the store, I wasn't in love at first sight. There's a lot about it that I didn't like. Aesthetically, it's probably one of my least favorite pistols on the market. Functionality-wise, however, it's amazing. It's made for people with hand issues. The slide is easy to rack. There's a cheater button on the magazine. It handles the recoil like nobody's business. I mean, people assume that because 380 is a smaller round, it's not going to have recoil. Well, you use something like a Bodyguard and put a 380 round in there, or 9mm short as it used to be called, you're going to get some kind of recoil. You're going to feel it because there's no recoil management. Excuse me. But what this Shield EZ does is it's a bigger gun. It's a heavier slide, heavier barrel, so it allows the recoil to be managed really, really well. It's amazingly accurate. When I teach beginners, whether it be men or women, this is one of the first pistols I pull out because 9 times out of 10, that beginner's going to be able to use it and use it deadly accurately. So the Shield EZ is amazing. It's good for a carry gun. It's a little bit big for a 380, but I think it works perfectly for a carry gun. The next one we're going to talk about is kind of the purple unicorn of the firearms world right now. Nobody can get it, not my store, not other stores in town. It's a SIG P365. It is for being a subcompact gun, one of the best things out on the market in 9mm. My understanding is that they designed the magazine first and they built the gun around the magazine. So this is a subcompact gun where normally in subcompact 9mm you're getting 7, 8 rounds. In this gun you're getting 10 and the extended magazine is 12. 12 rounds it's a significant upgrade from the 6 or 7 of, say, the Shield or the Glock 43 or something like that. It handles really well. It did have its issues in the beginning of not going back into battery, and the sights would come out of the factory not completely programmed or charged, or something was wrong with them. SIG has done a complete overhaul considering the position they're in with the Army contract. They've done a complete overhaul. That's one of the reasons you can't get them. And the battery issue's been fixed. The sights have been fixed. They now come with, instead of just regular night sights, they now come with X-ray sights. So it's definitely one of my recommendations. If you're looking for an everyday carry, subcompact, easy to use, easy to be accurate with gun, the SIG 365 is absolutely one of my favorites. Now, the next gun is also in the SIG family. It is significantly heavier. It's the SIG P225 or 225. It is a single stack 9mm. I believe it's 8 in the magazine. It's a hammer fire double action single action pistol. It's just fun to shoot. I like those heavier metal pistols. They handle the recoil really, really well. It's got the decocker on it. It doesn't have a safety, but it does have the decocker on it, so you don't have to walk around with your hammer back if you don't feel like it. It is single stack, so it's still slim. It's easy to carry concealed. It's absolutely one of my favorite pistols on the market. It's a little bit pricier than the most because it is an all steel pistol. The more metal, the more expensive. The more money you're gonna pay, the more expensive it is. Those are my current favorites. My current favorites for pistols. They're amazing guns. All of them. I would recommend to any new beginners or anybody with, years and years of experience. It doesn't matter. Either way, you're getting quality firearms out of those guns. So my old faithfuls, let's go with this. These are guns that have been around for a while that you just can't beat. Some of these have years and years of existence and perfection, and things have been changed and altered and made, but they're some of my favorite pistols out on the market. M&P 9. Smith & Wesson just makes, for the most part, a high quality firearm. The M&P 9, whether it's the 2.0 or the original generation, either way, you can't really go wrong. 2.0 has more magazines. It's got a rougher texture, which I like. But it's just, the M&P 9 is easy to take apart. You can make the mag release ambidextrous. I've had 2 classes on Armor's course with that, and it's just, they're easy to maintain. They're also easy to engage with. The triggers are not my favorite things. That's the one thing about the M&P triggers, is I really, really hate them. I think that broken in half trigger design that Smith & Wesson went with, I think it's crap. But if that's the worst part about it, I can go with it. Even a stock trigger in an M&P is sitting at, I think, 5.5 pounds. So it's very easy to be accurate with, and very easy to practice your double taps or practice selective firing or this, whatever. It's my least favorite part of the gun, but even with it, it's still a very, very quality gun. Now, the kind of inverse to that is when I say M&P 9, I don't mean SD9VEs or SW9VEs. Those are crap. They're Glock copies. They're Absolutely nothing that I would ever put in anybody's hands. They are absolute crap. Don't fool yourself because you're only paying $200 that you think you're getting a deal. You're not. You're not. If that's all you can afford, it's better than nothing. But they're crap guns. Next, Glocks, 17 and 19, right? What can you say about this gun? It's a tank. I mean, the 17 is just the longer version. The 19, the 19X, the 17L, the 34, all of the 9mm Glock series, minus the 26 and minus the 43. I'm not really a big fan of those two, but the 17, the 19 are easy to disassemble, easy to clean. You can run them all day. When I was carrying my Glock 19, I would go to the range and easily put 300 rounds a day in it. I probably put close to 4,000 rounds before I gave it up and switched to something different. I love my Glock 19. It's not the most comfortable thing. I'm not deadly accurate with it, but I like the way it shoots. I also love the reliability of it. SIG P320. Sig Sauer again making the list. They make high quality guns. They've been around for somewhere around 200 years. So in that span, if you don't know how to make a gun and you're a gun company, maybe it's time to move on. They were produced in Europe. I want to say Germany. I'm not 100%, but I want to say Germany. And now they are in New Hampshire. SIG just got a bunch of contracts with the Army, optics, rifles, pistols. I think it turned out like $580 million or something like that contract. Now, anybody who's been in the military is going to tell you, lowest bidder. I don't think that's the case here. I like the SIG 320. They, again, also had some quality control issues that SIG has done a huge overhaul on. They've sent everything back with it was something to where if you held it at a certain angle and you held it about 6 feet up in the air and you dropped it and it hit the right way, it would go off. Okay. Let's keep, trying to recreate those freaking, those conditions every single time and see what happens. Regardless, I think the SIG 320 has one of the better triggers on the market. Stock out of the box. I think it is very accurate. The sights are okay. I'm not a huge fan of them. I like the SIG night sights. So if you can get one with SIG night sights, get the one with SIG night sights. The next one is kind of rare. I don't really do revolvers a lot, but I've shot it and I've had a ball with it. It's the Ruger SP101 in 357. Now, I'm not a guy who believes that you have to shoot 357 all the time out of it. I personally have the feeling that if you're going to shoot a SP101, especially for somebody who doesn't have revolver experience like myself, then you shoot 38 specials at the range and you shoot 357 when you're carrying. The SP101 is built really durable. I'm not a huge Ruger fan. I think they do a lot of things wrong, but their revolvers are second to none. Ruger and Smith & Wesson are my two favorite brands of revolvers. There are other ones out there. Chiappa is a really good one that I've heard, friends have had just amazing times with Chiappas, the Rhino in particular. But for me, Ruger and Ruger and Smith & Wesson are the revolvers to go to. Kimber makes a K6 that is supposedly really good, but I've had issues with Kimber in the past, so I don't really trust anything that they sell. All of these pistols, by the way, are things that I would recommend to anybody. My customers, my wife, my sister-in-law, anybody. If I'm telling you about them on the podcast, that means I believe in these guns, I love these guns, and I'm a huge fan of them. There are other guns out there that people may bring up to me on Twitter or on Facebook, or this is just my list. These are guns that I absolutely love. So we're going to move into the rifles now. So for me, I have a bunch of current favorites that I've really been into. The first one for long guns is Sig M400 Elite. Again, Sig Sauer making the list. They make really quality rifles. They're 5.16s, they're 7.16s, they're 5.56 patrols. There's not a lot of bad coming out of Sig Sauer rifles. The M400 Elite, I like, it's very slim handguard profile. The Elite comes with the Romeo sight right out of the box. They can be a little bit expensive, but generally I want to say they're around $1,000. Don't quote me on that. SIGs do really well with plastic mags or metal mags, or the one at work that we have, I've shot ungodly numbers of rounds through them and have never had an issue. They're very easy to zero. They are, they just flow really well. They're a lightweight rifle, so it's better for CQB. The barrel's a little long. If obviously if you're doing CQB, you kind of want a little bit of short barrel, maybe an SBR. But for what it is, I think if you do it right, the M400 Elite can absolutely be set up to be an adequate CQB rifle. The next one is one that was introduced to me, 4 or 5 months ago. It's one that I have in my collection. It's called the LMT, Lewis Machine and Tool, MRP, the monorail platform, CQB. It's specifically designed for a CQB. The one that I I traded a Daniel Defense M4 V7 Pro with an 18-inch barrel and a Geisley trigger in it for this CQB. The reason I did that is because I want to get back into training CQB, which I've been doing. That's a great thing about working at the range and working around people who have a shit ton of rifle experience, right? So for me, what makes this rifle really cool is it is a monorail. And essentially what that means is the upper receiver and the rail, the handguards, are all one piece. You can't take the handguards off and replace the barrel. Not traditionally, not the way that you normally would. So it's essentially a torque wrench, a couple of screws, and I think they said in under 20 minutes you can have the barrel off, changed out, put back on, and be firing on the range. That is a little crazy for me. I got one. I didn't feel like spending another $600 for the barrels, but it was fun. I mean, it shoots really, really well. The one thing that I will say is I don't like the fact that it's all quad rail. I would have rather had Keymod or M-Lock, but I think it's overall it's a fantastic gun. The next one is essentially, I just mentioned it, is Daniel Defense M4 V7. Daniel Defense, to me, is one of the best rifle manufacturers on the market. They're an American-made company. They are very light. They use aircraft-grade billet aluminum. Their Pro Series has flat-face Geisley triggers in them. If you know anything about rifles, you know who Geisley is. The Pro that I had an 18.5-inch bull barrel in it. Essentially just a heavy-duty barrel. For me, for what I'm trying to do with rifle training now, it didn't really make sense. So I traded for that MRP CQB. They just handle really well. I mean, for me, the ideal setup on a Daniel Defense is probably a Spark 2 or an EOTech. Some 45-degree offsets, a minimalist buttstock, and some 45-degree offsets, and you're ready to rock and roll with this thing. I mean, it rolls when you have to go 45 degrees. It rolls really nicely. It rolls right back. Everything is steady and set, and they're just designed to be, I don't want to say abused, but abused, essentially. Daniel Defense, I've only ever had good things to say about him. Uh, if anybody is listening that knows me or works with me, you know how I feel about Daniel Defense. I tell people all the time. I don't need to say it again. So Daniel Defense is definitely one you want to look into. The next one is kind of a newer caliber. A bunch of hunters are starting to get on this caliber really, really heavy, which I understand. The caliber is ridiculous. It's the MMP-10 chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. So the old school MMP-10s I'm not a huge fan of because they've got those crappy handguards off. And their sight, their gas block isn't my favorite thing in the world. But this is completely different. It has M-LOK rail on it. It has a longer barrel. I want to say it's 22 or 24 inch barrel. It's ridiculous. The trigger on it is nice. The reset is really, really special. What I really like is they put a stationary buttstock on it, so it's not something that you're adjusting. This is a long gun and is designed to take long shots, 600, 700, 800 yard shots. Obviously not in Texas, but in a flatter state, this is designed, 6.5 Creedmoor is designed to shoot flatter and take longer, flatter shots. So those things are ridiculous. I'm going to get into my Old Faithfuls, rifles that I just love, everything about them. I've used them, I've shot them. I would like to keep them in my collection. I unfortunately can't right now, but so the first one is a Ruger 10/22. I think the best thing to learn how to shoot on is a Ruger 10/22, rifle-wise. They're easy to use. They're easy to put sights on. They're inexpensive. You can get one for about $225. The expensive ones are only $500. And 22 ammo, you can get, this is an exaggeration, but 1,000 rounds for like $50. I mean, it's nuts. They have a million different versions of them, whether it be the bull barrel or the takedown or the one that comes with a little Nikon scope on it, or Ruger makes a really, really good 22 rifle. It's been around for years and years and years, and I don't think it's going anywhere. The next one is the MMP Sport 2. This is no frills, nothing fancy. It is your standard military look-alike AR platform. 5.56, comes with a dust cover and a forward assist. That's what's different between the Sport 2 and the original Sport. Like I said, nothing fancy, but it's a great starter. If you want to get an AR and then customize it the way you want to do it, the MMP Sport 2 is not bad because you're talking about $700 to start. You can change handguards, you can change sights, you can go to low profile gas system, you can change pistol grips and triggers, and it's going to be, you're going to end up paying what you would have paid for the Daniel Defense, but it's, if you eventually want to build it piece by piece by piece by piece, this is what that gun is for. It's designed to be worked on year after year after year after year. I think it may be one of my next acquisitions. Like I said, you can get them for cheap, and the parts are everywhere. They're freaking Lego pieces. So the parts are everywhere. So the next one is the LWRC Direct Impingement 5.56. Now, LWRC makes piston-driven rifles. I'm not a fan of. I think there's just too much tweaking that needs to go around to get your gas right and your flow right. Just give me a good old-fashioned direct impingement. It works for me. I know what I'm doing. Simple, easy. We can put it to use. This particular one comes with a 16-inch barrel, but it's fluted. It's different. The handguards are short. I want to say they're only 13 inches, so you have about 2.5 or 3 inches of barrel sticking out. Not my favorite look. I don't like the way it looks, but for aesthetic wise, I don't care. They shoot really well. It's set up to be ambi already, so if you're a left-hand shooter or a right-hand shooter, you're gonna rock either way. It's not a left-handed designed rifle, but the controls can be manipulated left or right. The next one is the one and only AK that I have in my list is the C39 V2. The one that we have at the shop is the tactical edition, right? So essentially they changed the pistol grip out, put some finger grooves in it. They changed the foregrip on the barrel out, put some finger grooves in it. Everybody should have at least one AK. Why not? They're fun to shoot. Not the most accurate things, but they are fun to shoot. Ammo's not the cheapest either, but they're fun to shoot. I don't have a whole lot to say about the AK. Again, I'll probably catch some hell for that, but just not a huge AK guy. So the last thing we're going to cover is my wish list. These are guns that I've seen that customers have brought in or we've got at the gun store that I drool on myself over and go, what the serious fuck? I wish I could afford this. Most of the time I can't. So the first thing is an STI. If you're not from Texas, you may not know what STIs are. So they are a local Texas 1911 company. They're pretty big. A lot of competitors are using them. They're 1911/2011 design. They are getting rid of their single stack 1911 design and going with a double stack 2011. But they just make great guns. The guns are personal. They're in the same vein of a Nighthawk Custom or a Brown or a Les Bear. They can get up to the same range as those guns, but these guns are a little bit cheaper, a little bit more inexpensive, and they just haven't been around as long as those other brands have. They are sick as hell to shoot. I tell people all the time, if you miss the target, it ain't the gun, it's you. I promise you that. The next one is another rifle. The POF Renegade Plus. Either 5.56 or 308. POF just makes really, really good rifles. As far as I can tell, I have some people at work with me who absolutely hate POF, which is fine. Everybody has the right to be wrong. POF makes really good rifles. They handle really well. You can get an SBR and a POF. The process is a big old pain in the dick, but you can get it. The Plus is just set up super aggressive. I like almost everything about it. It has that minimalist buttstock that I was talking about. They're just fun to shoot. I've shot a couple of my buddies, and they're really, really fun to shoot. The next one, another rifle, is a Ruger Precision. Now, I don't go long range shooting, so this probably will not happen anytime soon, and if it does, it's going to be a safe queen for a little bit. Ruger Precision to me in either 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6mm Creedmoor, any of them, just for shits and gigs. It's a fun gun that Ruger guarantees will shoot 1,600 yards. I don't know about you, but to me that's impressive as shit. So Ruger, again, not the biggest fan of Ruger. I think there's a bunch of stuff that they do wrong, or is just not comfortable for me, is probably a better way to say it. But I think they did right. They did really, really good on this Ruger Precision. Now, my favorite Ruger Precision is not a big caliber. It's their 22. If you want to put 22s in the same hole all day, every day, you can use a Ruger 1022. But the Ruger Precision in 22, I've seen a woman who has no shooting experience go the length of a 100-yard range and hit same spot every single freaking time. They don't move. They are amazing, amazing guns. So look into a Ruger Precision if you want some long distance, if you want a 1,000 yards or better shot. And then the last thing on my wish list is actually a shotgun. It's a Mossberg 930 SPX. They are absolutely sick. Not a big, huge shotgun guy, but one of the guys at work had one and let me shoot it. And I was kind of being a bitch about shooting 12 gauge. And I shot it, and I shot buck out of it, and I shot slug out of it, and both of them handled really, really well. Now, the caveat to that is this is a semi-automatic shotgun, not a pump action. I think pump action is great for home defense. You get that loud racking sound. But on the range and for shooting for fun, I think semi-automatic's the way to go. It's just become more comfortable for me. I love them. They're very accurate. They're hard to argue with the results. When I bring a target back from shooting a semi-automatic shotgun, there's usually only half a target left. And that's at 40, 45 feet. So it's not like it's super close up. It's a pretty good distance away. So these are the guns that I love. These are the guns that I recommend towards everybody. Once again, you can reach me on Twitter at the OTW Podcast. THEOTW Podcast. You can reach me at outsidethewirepodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions or any guns that I missed or anything that you think I should cover next time, because I'm gonna do more in-depth gun talk and more podcasts about different types of firearms and rifles versus pistols, home defense, carry, range, stuff like that. Today was just kind of a, hey, these are what I like. These are the reasons that I like them. I could be wrong on some of the facts that I stated. If I am, I apologize. I don't have that great of a memory. So most of this stuff was kind of just written in note format, and I wanted to bring it up and talk about it. So if you have any suggestions or anything that I should do, or other guns that I should mention, again, THEOTW Podcast on Twitter. OutsideTheWirePodcast@gmail.com. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael Farrell. I was your host, and this has been Outside the Wire Podcast.